Marcus Reed's consciousness surfaced slowly, pulled from dreams by an unusual warmth against his side. His eyes opened to the soft morning light filtering through gauze curtains, and for a moment nothing seemed amiss. Then his brain caught up with his senses. There was someone in his bed. His heart hammered against his ribs as he turned his head carefully, afraid to confirm what his body already knew. Silver skin gleamed in the dawn light, rising and falling with steady breaths. An elegant hand rested on his chest, fingers splayed across his bare skin. Her face was turned toward him, peaceful in sleep, her features both alien and beautiful, high cheekbones, a delicate nose, and lips that held a faint purple tint. Her hair, if it could be called that, seemed to shift between silver and lavender like oil on water. Celeste, his new housekeeper, the one the agency had sent 3 days ago, not in his bed, not naked, not well. They were both naked, he realized with rising panic, feeling the sheet barely covering his lower half. Marcus froze, trying to remember the previous evening. Had he drunk too much wine? No, he'd had 1 glass with dinner, the dinner Celeste had prepared while he worked late on the Anderson project. They'd talked about Earth architecture versus Andromedan design philosophy. She'd been fascinated by his drawings. He'd been fascinated by the way her eyes shifted from violet to deep blue when she was excited about something. Then he'd gone to bed. Alone. He was certain of that, so how did she end up here? As if sensing his consciousness, Celeste's eyes opened. They were violet this morning, he noted absurdly. For 3 heartbeats, they simply stared at each other. Her eyes widened as awareness flooded her features. "Oh, stars," she breathed, her accent making the words musical. She sat up abruptly, the sheet cooling at her waist, apparently unconcerned about her state of undress. Marcus, however, was very concerned and very aware. "I can explain," she said quickly, her skin flushing a deeper silver that shimmered across her shoulders and collarbone. "This is not what it appears to be." "Really?" Marcus managed, pulling the sheet higher and trying to focus on her face. "Because it appears you're in my bed without clothes, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly what's happening." Celeste's hands fluttered in what he'd learned was an Andromedan gesture of distress. "Yes, but the context is entirely professional, I assure you." "Professional," Marcus repeated flatly. "Among my people, what you witnessed, what we're doing, is called harmony synchronization. It's completely normal." She seemed to realize this wasn't helping. "We share sleeping space to balance our energy fields. Your species generates such strong bioelectric currents. I was drawn to it without thinking. It's instinctual, like humans seeking warmth." Marcus sat up, keeping the sheet strategically positioned. "Celeste, I don't care what it's called on Andromeda. On Earth, crawling into someone's bed while they're sleeping is not part of the housekeeper's duties. I can see that now." Her eyes shifted to a deeper purple embarrassment. He was learning. "The agency warned me about cultural differences, but I thought they were exaggerating. I've only been on Earth for 2 months. My previous employers were Andromedan." "The agency sent you to me specifically for human clients," Marcus pointed out, trying to maintain some rationality despite the surreal situation. "Yes." "Well?" Celeste gracefully rose from the bed, and Marcus determinedly kept his eyes on the ceiling as she moved to where her clothing was neatly folded on his dresser. "I may have overstated my experience with human customs on my application. You think?" "Sarcasm," she noted, pulling on what looked like a bodysuit made of shifting silver fabric. "I'm learning to recognize that. Your species uses it extensively when uncomfortable." Now that she was dressed, Marcus felt safe looking at her again. She stood by the window, backlit by morning sun, looking simultaneously alien and achingly vulnerable. "I apologize, Marcus," she said softly, using his first name for the first time. "I overstepped badly. If you wish to contact the agency for a replacement, I would understand." Something in her voice made him pause. 3 days wasn't long, but he'd already noticed how she organized his chaotic life, how she seemed to know what he needed before he did, how she listened with genuine interest when he talked about his work. And there was something else, something he hadn't wanted to acknowledge, the way his apartment felt less empty with her in it. "Let's not be hasty," he said, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "But we need to establish some very clear boundaries, starting with bedroom access." Her eyes brightened, shifting to a hopeful blue-violet. "Of course, I shall prepare a list of Andromedan customs that might conflict with human expectations. And perhaps you could do the same with human social norms?" "That's probably a good idea." Marcus grabbed his robe from the bedside chair. "How about we discuss this over breakfast?" "And Celeste?" "Yes?" "Clothes stay on during work hours. That's rule number 1. A small smile played at her purple-tinted lips. "Noted. Though I should mention that Andromedans consider clothing optional in private residential spaces. We rely more on energy fields for privacy than physical barriers." Marcus closed his eyes and counted to 5. "This is going to be interesting." "Indeed." She moved toward the door with inhuman grace, then paused. "For what it's worth, your energy signature is quite remarkable. Warm, creative, with undertones of loneliness. It's what drew me in." "I meant no disrespect." Before he could formulate a response to that intimate observation, she slipped out of the room. Marcus stood alone in his bedroom, trying to process the morning's events. He'd hired Celeste because his life was a mess after the divorce takeout containers everywhere, missed deadlines, a general sense of things falling apart. The agency had promised someone efficient, discreet, and culturally adaptable. They hadn't mentioned she'd be able to read his emotional state, or that she might interpret his bed as communal property. He dressed quickly, pulling on jeans and a t-shirt, and headed to the kitchen. The smell of real coffee, not the synthetic blend he usually settled for, greeted him. Celeste stood at the counter, her back to him, her hair that wasn't hair catching the light in mesmerizing patterns. "I hope you don't mind," she said without turning. "I took the liberty of using your coffee maker. I've been studying human morning rituals extensively. Coffee is always welcome." Marcus slid onto a bar stool, accepting the mug she offered. It was perfect strong, slightly sweet, exactly how he liked it, though he'd never told her. "The energy signature thing," he said carefully. "Can you really sense what I'm feeling?" Celeste turned to face him, leaning against the counter. "Not feelings precisely. More like emotional weather patterns. Humans broadcast quite loudly compared to other species. That seems like an invasion of privacy." "Is it an invasion if I can't help but perceive it? Can you choose not to see colors?" She tilted her head. "Though I suppose I could learn to ignore it, if it bothers you. My people believe emotional honesty prevents misunderstandings, but I'm learning that humans prefer more mystery." Marcus sipped his coffee, considering. "It's not mystery exactly. It's more about having control over what we share. The ability to keep things private until we're ready to reveal them. Fascinating." Her eyes shifted through a spectrum of colors. "So you prefer the possibility of deception for the sake of autonomy? When you put it that way, it sounds terrible." "Not terrible, just different." She poured her own coffee, adding an alarming amount of sugar. "Every species has their logic. I'm here to learn yours." They sat in companionable silence for a moment. Outside, the city was waking up traffic sounds, distant voices, the hum of life in motion. Inside this small kitchen, an alien woman who'd crawled into his bed was making surprisingly good coffee while discussing emotional privacy like it was a philosophical debate. "So," Marcus ventured, "this harmony synchronization thing, is it romantic in your culture?" "Not inherently. It can be, but usually it's familial or communal. Andromedans in close proximity naturally synchronize. She met his eyes. Though I should be honest, your energy is particularly compatible with mine. When I'm near you, I feel more balanced than I have since leaving home. Oh, does that make you uncomfortable? I'm not sure yet, Marcus admitted. It's a lot to process before breakfast. Celeste smiled, and he realized it was the first fully relaxed expression he'd seen on her face. You're handling this far better than my last assignment. He filed a complaint within an hour. What happened? I reorganized his entire living space according to feng shui principles while he was sleeping. Apparently, humans are quite territorial about their possessions' placement. She shrugged. In my defense, his energy flow was terrible. The headaches alone must have been debilitating. Despite everything, Marcus laughed. Okay, new rule. No rearranging furniture without permission. Agreed. Though I maintain the sofa would be better positioned near the window. Noted and ignored. Her laugh was like wind chimes, light and unexpected. They fell into discussion about other potential cultural landmines. Her tendency to walk through the apartment without making sound. Her habit of humming at frequencies that made plants grow faster but gave humans headaches. Her complete inability to understand why he locked the bathroom door as the morning stretched on. Marcus found himself relaxing. Yes, it had been the most bizarre wake-up call of his life. Yes, this arrangement was probably going to lead to more awkward moments. But there was something refreshing about Celeste's directness. Her genuine curiosity about human culture. The way she didn't tiptoe around uncomfortable topics. So, he said finally, we're going to try this again. Professional boundaries, cultural sensitivity, and absolutely no unsolicited bed sharing. Agreed. Celeste extended her hand across the counter. When he took it, her skin felt like warm silk, and a pleasant tingle ran up his or her energy field, he realized. Though Marcus, yes, if you ever do wish to experience proper Andromedan, harmony synchronization, with full consent and understanding, I would be honored to share that with you. It's quite unlike anything humans typically experience. She said it casually, but her eyes had shifted to a deep violet that seemed almost intimate. Marcus withdrew his hand slowly, that tingle still running through his nerves. I'll keep that in mind. As she returned to preparing breakfast, humming softly, Marcus realized that his carefully controlled, post-divorce life had just become infinitely more complicated, and he wasn't entirely sure he minded. The days that followed their awkward morning established a rhythm that was equal parts domestic routine and cultural minefield. Marcus learned that Celeste considered 6 a.m. a late start to the day, that she could hear him thinking loudly from 3 rooms away, or so she claimed, and that her cooking experiments ranged from sublime to borderline toxic. What exactly is this? Marcus asked on Thursday evening, poking at something that shimmered on his plate with an iridescence that food definitely shouldn't have. Andromedan comfort food adapted for human consumption, Celeste said proudly, sitting across from him at the small dining table. It's called Shimara. The base is your earth mushrooms, but I've enhanced them with mineral supplements from home. It's glowing. Bioluminescence is a sign of freshness in my culture. In mine, it's a sign of poison. But Marcus took a tentative bite anyway. The flavor exploded across his tongue, earthy sweet, with an electric tingle that made his teeth buzz. Oh my God. Good oh my God or bad oh my God? Celeste leaned forward, her eyes shifting through anxious purples. I can't feel my tongue, but it's amazing. Her face lit up. Quite literally, her skin brightened with pleasure. I'm so glad. I've been practicing all day. I want to make foods that remind me of home, but that you can safely consume. Marcus took another bite, the numbness fading to a pleasant warmth. Tell me about home. You never really talk about Andromeda. Celeste's expression softened, her eyes settling into a deep, melancholy violet. It's beautiful in ways Earth isn't. Our cities grow rather than being built living crystal that responds to our energy signatures. The sky shifts through 17 distinct colors during the day cycle. We have 3 moons, and when they align, the gravity changes enough that you can almost fly. Sounds incredible. Do you miss it? Every moment. She said it simply, without drama. But I can't go back. Why not? She was quiet for a long moment, pushing Shamara around her plate. My bonded partner died. In my culture, when you lose your harmony match, your energy signature becomes ... discordant. It's painful for others to be around. I was asked to leave for the good of my community. Marcus set down his fork. They exiled you for grieving? Not exile. More like encouraged departure. Her smile was sad. It's different for your species. You're built to exist as individuals. Andromedans are collective by nature. My grief disrupted the harmony of thousands. Coming to Earth, where everyone's energy is chaotic anyway, makes sense. I'm sorry, Celeste. Don't be. I chose this. She met his eyes. And I'm finding that human chaos has its own appeal. You're all so beautifully separate, yet you keep reaching for connection anyway. It's like watching flowers grow in a wasteland unexpected and brave. Before Marcus could respond, his phone buzzed insistently. The name on the screen made his stomach drop. Jenna. You need to answer that, Celeste said, though he hadn't said anything. Your energy just spiked with anxiety. It's my ex-wife. I know. Your heart rate increased 0.3 beats per second when you saw the name. At his look, she added, Sorry, I'm trying not to monitor. But you broadcast very loudly. Marcus answered the call, stepping away from the table. Jenna. Hi. Marcus, we need to talk about the apartment. His ex-wife's voice was crisp, professional, the tone she used when she wanted something. My lawyer says you're refusing to sign the final property papers. I'm not refusing. I'm reviewing them. It's been 3 months. How long does it take to review 8 pages? A pause. Are you eating? I can call back. No, it's fine. I'm just having dinner. Dinner at 7? You usually worked until 9. Another pause, more pointed. Are you with someone? Marcus glanced at Celeste, who was pretending not to listen while clearly tracking every word. My housekeeper prepared dinner. You hired a housekeeper? Marcus, you could barely afford the apartment when we split. Is this some kind of crisis spending? My finances are no longer your concern, Jenna. They are when you're stalling on signing away your rights to a property you can't afford anyway. Her voice sharpened. Just sign the papers. Let's both move on. I'll have my lawyer review them by next week. You don't have a lawyer. You never got a lawyer, which is why I got everything in the first place. The frustration in her voice was familiar, the same tone she'd used when discussing his lack of ambition or his inability to prioritize. Then, I guess it'll take me a bit longer to review them myself. Goodbye, Jenna. He ended the call before she could respond, his hand shaking slightly. When he turned back, Celeste was watching him with those color-shifting eyes that saw too much. Your energy signature just collapsed inward, she observed quietly. Like a star dying. That's cheerful. It's concerning. She rose from her chair, moving toward him with that unnatural grace. This Jenna person causes you pain. Ex-wives often do. Yet you keep something of hers on your nightstand. A photograph in the silver frame. Marcus blinked. How did you? I clean your bedroom, Marcus. I notice things. She stopped a foot away from him, close enough that he could feel the warmth of her energy field. Why do you keep a reminder of someone who hurts you? It's complicated. Is it? Or are you just clinging to pain because it's familiar? Her head tilted. Humans do that, I've noticed. You're so afraid of emptiness that you'll fill the space with anything, even things that damage you. That's pretty judgmental from someone who reads auras for a living. I don't read auras. I sense energy. And yours is dimming. She reached out slowly, giving him time to pull away, and placed her hand over his heart. The contact sent warmth spreading through his chest. You're lonely. So lonely, it's like static in my mind. Marcus should have stepped back. Should have maintained those professional boundaries they'd agreed on. Instead, he stood frozen as Celeste's energy merged with his, a sensation like sinking into warm water. "What are you doing?" he asked, his voice rough. Harmony balancing. The most basic Andromedan healing technique. Her eyes had shifted to a soft, luminous blue. "You don't have to carry all this weight alone, Marcus. That's not strength. It's just stubbornness." For a moment, he let himself feel it. The warmth, the connection, the sense that someone was actively trying to help rather than hurt. Then reality crashed back. He stepped away, and the cold that replaced her touch was almost physical. "We can't do this." "Why not?" "Because you work for me. Because you're dealing with your own grief. Because I'm a mess and you're—" He gestured helplessly at her. "You're an alien, Celeste. We're not even the same species. So that matters, does it? Or is that another human excuse for avoiding connection?" She wasn't angry, just curious. "You felt it too. The harmony. Don't tell me you didn't." Marcus had felt it. That was the problem. "I need some air. You're running away. I'm establishing boundaries." He grabbed his jacket from the hook by the door. "I'll be back in an hour. We can finish dinner then. The shawarma will be cold. Then I'll eat it cold." He left before she could respond, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, needing the physical exertion to clear his head. The evening air was cool against his flushed skin as he emerged onto the street. What was he doing? Celeste was right. He was lonely. Desperately, pathetically lonely in a way that the divorce had carved out of him like a hollow. But letting an alien housekeeper who could read his emotions fill that void was insane. Wasn't it? He walked for 30 minutes, no destination in mind, just moving through the city's evening crowds. Couples holding hands. Friends laughing over phone screens. Everyone connected, everyone part of something. When had he become so isolated? His phone buzzed. A text from Celeste. "Your energy signature is 3 blocks away and spiraling. Come home before you do something foolish." Despite everything, he smiled. He texted back, "How do you know where I am?" "I can sense you within a 1/4-mile radius." Occupational hazard. Also, I'm tracking your phone. That's creepy. That's practical. You left your jacket pocket open, and your wallet is visible. City crime statistics suggest. Marcus turned around, heading back to the apartment. When he opened the door, Celeste was exactly where he'd left her, standing in the middle of the living room like she'd been frozen in place. "I'm sorry," they said simultaneously. "You first," Marcus offered. Celeste's hands fluttered in that gesture of distress. "I overstepped. Again, I forget that humans don't share energy freely. To me, leaving you in pain when I could help felt cruel. But I understand it was inappropriate. And I'm sorry for running away. You're right. I do that when things get too real." He tossed his jacket on the couch. "But Celeste, this arrangement only works if we maintain some professional distance. You can't keep trying to heal me, even if you need healing. Especially then." She looked at him for a long moment, her eyes shifting through a rainbow of emotions. He was starting to decode purple for sadness, blue for acceptance, a flash of red he hadn't seen before. "What's red mean?" he asked, frustration. "Sometimes anger." She moved to the dining table, beginning to clear the now cold dinner. You humans are so determined to suffer alone. It's exhausting to witness. Welcome to Earth. They cleaned up together in silence. A dance they'd already learned. He washed, she dried, both careful not to touch. When the last dish was put away, Celeste turned to him. For what it's worth, your ex-wife is a fool. Marcus almost dropped the towel. Excuse me? Your energy signature shows creativity, kindness, loyalty, all highly valued traits. Yet she discarded you over what? Financial concerns? Career trajectory? Celeste shook her head. My people would consider that wasteful. You don't abandon a good harmony match over such trivial matters. She didn't see it that way. And she didn't deserve to see you? Clearly. Celeste moved toward her. Quarters the small guest room she'd made into. Something that resembled a crystal cave. Good night, Marcus. Thank you for walking with me through this awkward evening. Celeste? She paused at the doorway. Thank you for the healing attempt, even if I couldn't accept it. Her smile was small, but genuine. Perhaps one day you'll let me try again. When you're ready? After she disappeared into her room, Marcus stood in the kitchen, feeling the absence of her energy like a missing limb. He picked up the photograph from his knit stand, the one Celeste had noticed. He and Jenna on their honeymoon, both smiling, both believing in forever. He placed it in his desk drawer, face down, small steps.